Hello guys, welcome to the session here. Um, I'm sure you're already, if you have attended my lectures, you've already seen this dashboard. This is a generic dashboard uh, with very random fictitious data. Talks about store location and several other stuffs in detail. What we're trying to fetch today, I imported this data. And what we're trying to fetch today is a date difference. So we already know, if you are already familiar with Excel's, you know how to actually bring a date difference, which is quite a simple process as well in Power BI. Um, Let me show you, how to bring a date difference. Let's just create a new column, and I'm actually going to write a DAX on a calculated column. Um, so let's create a new column here, and we're just going to capture a date difference. So date difference, comes to a very simple exercise, and you can actually pick the starting point of the date. Now, since I have only one date, I'm not going through to bring the data table here. Um, so I want date joint minus most recent purchase. And these are the two date fields that's available, and you just hit enter. You should be able to get the date difference, right? But if you see, it's showing somewhat different uh, period altogether. So this is not a direct approach, but what you have to actually do is bring a function called dateDiff. So we have a function called dateDiff in here. Pick the start date, pick the end date, and then give the interval, what you want to calculate. Want to create a monthly difference, weekly difference, etc. I'm gonna actually go by the days. Hit enter. Now you'll get number 5. Now let's look at something very minimal. Ignore the negative dates. Maybe there are some human errors while entering the data. But if we just include, let's say, just take these 10, 11 days of data. Just taking some random examples. Okay, so if you look at these days, it's just picking up the starting point and the end point in here and showing you your date file. But my audience have asked me, is there a way we can actually create a date difference excluding the weekend? Uh, Over the round of course of action, we're going to see different ways. Today we are going to see a simple way where you can create a calculated column and count the rows using a dimension table. So I have created and established a dimension table. It's created a DAX column, something that we have already covered in our lectures earlier. Date, dim, calendar auto captures all the dates. So basically creating a dimension table, date, dim. So what I want to do is I'm going to use this field and I'm going to count the days. So imagine, if I am counting the days in here, 13th April to 23rd April, right, 2012, 13th April to 23rd April. And I'm just going to count the number of days in between. And whenever there's a week and Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to simply say that, hey, I really don't want to capture those. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a calculated column here, okay? And let's name that as daydiff excluding weekend, okay? Now, it's a very simple strategy that we are going to follow. Just like to keep it simple, we are going to count the rows and we're going to filter out certain elements from our data. So we'll have to combine several segments and several functions. So as you know, the best suited formula to start with is a calculate that will help us bring up several data. So I'm going to use a calculate function so I can merge various other functions together. The first thing that I'm going to do is definitely the count rows. Okay, and count rows. What am I going to count? I'm going to count the date diff. Date dim, date. Okay, so basically I need to count this. Now you can actually choose to just count the table, that's totally fine. So just capture the date dim and just count the rows. So basically count the entire table. Next to this is going to be interesting. Now this is where you actually filter out your data. My bad. So we're going to filter out our data. Okay, so let's put some filters. And in the filter, we're going to actually perform what we want to capture. First thing, let's take the date dimension table from where we want to filter out the data, and we're going to say weekday. Okay, so weekday will actually help us filter out the weekends from our calculation. So it will capture the weekdays from the date field that we have in the dimension table, right? We're simply going to say weekday, and we're going to say, and we're going to pick this option 2. So we're saying Monday will be 1 through Sunday will be 7. So I'm going to just pick from Monday to Friday 1 to 5 and 6, 7, which is Saturday and Sunday. I don't want. So anything that falls 6 and 7 in the date are simply going to be not captured. So what do I write that function? On the top of this function, right? Weekday. If the weekday is greater than 6 and 7, or greater than 5, or is equal to 6 or 7 is equal to Saturday or Sunday, we are not captured. So we are saying less than 6 means Monday to Friday. Only count the rows when the weekday is between 1 to 5, Monday to Friday, right? So that's the first filter. Okay, so we're going to count the rows by the first filter, and the next filter that we are going to apply, this is again further interesting. So we are going to do date between. Okay, so it returns the date between two given dates. So just like their difference, but it's going to return the dates between two given dates. So of course my dimension date will be the date dimension table. That's my first point, and it's going to run the rows from the start and the end date. So my starting point over here is the date joined, and the end point over here is the most recent purchases. Okay, so let's look at the formula. Now we're going to count the rows, guys. We are going to count the rows. We're going to filter. We're going to see dates between. So we're saying filter out the weekends, 6 and 7. Only capture Monday to Friday while you're counting the rows in the date dimension. And then figure out the date between date join. So it's basically gonna run the rows in the date field in the dimension table between these two dates. And the good part is, you don't really need to build any relation here. So this just, you're establishing the dimension table and you're not doing anything. Now look at this, where it was showing just the straightforward day difference as 10, excluding the weekend, it's saying 7. So let's look at this first row, 13th April to 23rd April 2012. Now let's travel back in time, 2012, okay? 2012. And if you see 2012, it's April, 13th April to 23rd April, right? So 13th April being a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we exclude that. And then 23rd April, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and including Friday, it's 7 days. So excluding all the weekends is going to be 7 days. And that's the beautiful part about excluding weekend. I hope you like this video. Um, if you like what we are providing you, the tips, do follow and subscribe us for more updates. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.